You are now entering Clearview, Illinois. The name of tonight's tale is The Last One. Milton woke up to a strong buzzing in his ears. The intensity hit him far before his phone did. He sat up in the ominous darkness of his bedroom, with his blinds projecting the optical illusion of bars. It wasn't time yet. He had time, and he could ignore it. He lay back down and placed his pillow over his head to muffle out the droning buzz. It was like a beehive in his head, or the hum of radio feedback. His pillow did nothing. It was as if the sound emanated in his head. He touched his phone, and it said 2 hours till work, 5 a.m. He figured that he could just start early, and work could help him ignore the noise. He readied himself for the day, and Milton became Chief Milton of Clearview Police Department. He hit his squad car and made his way through the sleeping suburb. When he stopped at a light, the buzzing overpowered him. The red of the traffic light blurred into indistinct color. He hung a left and took the scenic route. He was extremely early as it was. Milton saw the flashing reflectors of a bicycle out by the park reserves between Argyle High School and unincorporated land that belonged to Lash Baston Casino. He saw that it was Wendy Dantic, one of the track stars of the high school. She obviously was clocking in early herself. He spoke out of his window. "Kinda early today, aren't you?" questioned Milton. Wendy smiled and spoke up. "I just wanted to get here early and get some laps in. I like your work ethic, but it's too dangerous to be out here alone." "I'll be fine. I have mace and I'm faster than anybody I know." "That's good that you at least thought about it, but I can't in good conscience leave you out here before the sun comes up. Look, you can wait an hour and come back, okay? Why don't you throw the bike in the back and I'll give you a lift home?" Wendy's first thought was to insist that she knew what she was doing, but she didn't want to argue with Chief Milton about something he had been right about all along. The chief helped Wendy with her bike, then started the car. Wendy was a pretty girl in the prime of her life at 17, and it wasn't that Chief Milton didn't notice her budding womanhood. She just was too young for him to make that connection. "So you bike too?" said Chief Milton. "Yeah, I don't want to put pressure on my knee. I'm still going to have to do regular practice." "When's your next meet?" asked Milton. Chief Milton clutched his head in pain, so much so even Wendy couldn't ignore it. "Are you okay, Chief Milton?" asked the track star. All the chief could hear was a persistent buzz. Wendy's words came out like background noise, a single voice in a sea of ceaseless noise. "Run! Get out! Run!" said Chief Milton with dire urgency. The buzz drowned out his own words. Wendy attempted to be responsible. Milton could see her lips moving as if she were speaking, but it was completely inaudible. He couldn't even tell if she could hear his screaming warnings. The chief pushed the girl and she hit the door. Wendy moved now as if she understood. She exited the car. He could see she opened the back door to pull her bike out. Milton shook his head in lament. She didn't know how much danger she was in, and he didn't have time to explain it. Milton moved like a man at war with himself. His motions were stilted and contradictory. He grabbed Wendy violently and attempted to cuff her. If Milton had been moving in concert with his own body, he would have easily succeeded. But seeing he wasn't, she wriggled free, pawing at his face with inconsequential scratches. By pure happenstance, Wendy ripped at his head and pulled out a chunk. Her hand stopped on a smooth crystal that grew into his skin like a bright amethyst mole. The buzzing was more frenetic. This was what it wanted. This was what had to happen. Wendy abandoned the bike and ran. Chief was glad. He hoped she made it. The all-consuming noise took him once again, and he doubled over in pain. The more he fought it, the more painful it was. He was being physically lashed like a dog beaten into submission. He fought his own hand and pulled his gun. He knew he couldn't catch her on foot, but he was certain his bullets could. With every ounce of mental fortitude he possessed, he fired. The bullet struck Wendy in the calf. She screamed, but Chief couldn't hear it. All sound was it. He lurched like Quasimodo, his muscles struggling against his movements every step. He cuffed the struggling teen and threw her in the trunk. The Chief drove to a barren stretch of road that no one would ever have reason to stop at. He could feel Wendy kicking to signal help, even though he couldn't hear her. When he popped the trunk, the desperate teen was pleading, crying, and bleeding, soundlessly for him. His lack of hearing made it easier to dehumanize his victim. He dispassionately slung the cuffed girl over his shoulder. Her blood dribbled onto his uniform. He entered the brush and found himself at the mouth of an innocuous cavern entrance. He tapped the flashlight on his shoulder. After deftly navigating the cavern, having been here before, he approached a 20-foot drop. Looking up, there were several honeycomb hidey holes that stuck out, but looking down, there was only one thing. Down below was an amorphous blob of white, a puffy tumor-like lump pulsating hungrily. When he struggled harder, he could feel the frantic but ultimately useless kicking on his back. Chief Milton knew what he had to do. It was screaming its intention since he woke up. This had gone too far. He couldn't do it anymore. He kept telling himself that this would be the last one. This monster got, but he knew that it wouldn't be. He fought himself, but in the end, he failed, and it won. Milton tossed the teenager down to it like a sacrificial lamb. Her body hit the spongy mass, then sank down into it. The buzzing stopped. The beast gurgled. It no longer needed. "I won't do it again," the Chief yelled to the pulsating tumor. He stumbled his way from the darkened cavern into the light of day. He cried in pain, for he couldn't be in worse pain for what he did. He could stop it. He pulled his revolver and put it to his head. This would be the end. This was winning. No, this was nothing. This was the coward's way. He stumbled to his squad car. The Chief popped the trunk, which was a bloody mess. He found a 5-inch trench knife he confiscated from a teenager the week before. He took out his phone and inverted his camera so he could see himself, then pushed away a patch of his hair near the back of his head. He felt the amethyst tumor groaning. He didn't know how big it had gotten until he took a look. This was the creature's voice. This was the tether that made him a puppet. He took a deep breath for the sake of courage, then violently jammed the blade into his skull. He could hear bone cracking from inside his head. The pain was blinding. He pushed the knife deep into the edges of his skull and the gem. The deeper he went, the more he lost of himself. The wriggling, fleshy sound was amplified being in his head. It struggled to stay put, but Milton proved his mettle and mutilated himself more, smashing the other side of his skull until it chipped. He stopped. He bled from his head liberally. He took both hands and pulled the shard. He could feel broken images of his life fading from his memory. The amethyst crystal yanked loose with dangling bits of his brain attached. The veins around it pulled away like tenacious weeds. Milton didn't know if he'd die from the blood loss or shame, but he knew he had to finish it. This thing wasn't the first monster he had the displeasure of serving in Clearview, but he knew that it'd be the last. You are now exiting Clearview, Illinois. I hope you enjoyed the trip.